The Cavs left stupefied as they were losers, 121-112 the final, as Indiana takes game one, and Halliburton had 22 points, 13 assists, a partridge in a pear tree, and Andrew Nembhard with 23 points, 5 3-pointers. 5 3-pointers for the Pacers, who are the number 4 seed. They're the number 4 seed. Look at that, live number 4. And game 2, I know you're already counting down the minutes. You have a timer on your phone there. Game 2 will be Tuesday night back in Cleveland. So the better story is in the losing locker room, so that is where we will begin. So let us discuss. Can you explain what went wrong for Donovan Mitchell and the top-seeded Cavaliers? So I've got Glen Ivy Hot Springs, Bellagio, and Candlelight. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a corned beef sandwich is what we're going to make. All right, so number one. Can I get a number? Number one. All right, so number one. Let me just point out, this was not a traditional upset. It was an upset, but not a traditional upset. Traditional upset is not where you're dominating the game. This was a domination situation. Now, what a blowout domination, but Indiana led for most of the game. Like, it's not like they were trailing and they snuck up late in the fourth quarter and stole the game away from Cleveland. No, the Pacers were ahead for the balance of the game. They had a 12-point lead in the first half. They had a 12-point lead in the second half. Cleveland was frazzled. They were bedraggled by the pace of play from, appropriately, the Pacers. That's what stood out to me. And Kenny Atkinson, Cleveland won a bunch of games. They were the top seed in the East and all that. Whoop-de-damn-do, congratulations. But this team, on this particular day, the Cavaliers, throughout the game, it's like the coach, Kenny Atkinson, had taken the team on a field trip to Glen Ivy Hot Springs for a bath in mud, club mud. They were just off enough because at home, number 1 seed, all that, better team, blah, 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 blah. They were immersed in a pool of mud, the Cavaliers here. And if that didn't do the trick, they just grabbed fistfuls of mud and then shoved it right in their mouth is what they did. You had a cornucopia of defensive breakdowns by the Cleveland Cavaliers, terrible shooting, a questionable decision-making down the line here. And if you want to circle individual, we love naming names. Naming and shaming and blaming and all that, and the finger of shame. You've got 3 names. 3 of them. You've got Spider Mitchell. Oh, but he had 30-plus points. I'll explain. But Spider Mitchell, Jared Allen, and Ty Jerome, who had been so good in some games earlier in the playoffs. But those are the 3 that I jotted down on the Notes app on my phone that are the 3 villains for the Cavaliers in game number 1. Now, the individual situation. Now, Spider Mitchell, you see a lot of stories out there. Oh, it's not his fault. He had 33 points. You know how many shots he took? 30 shots. 30 shots to get 33 points. In what world is that an efficient performance? In what world is that a good performance? 30 shots to get 33 points? You got to be joking. That was not a good performance. And he took 11 3-point shots, 1 of 11 for Donovan Mitchell from behind the arc. That's my computer-like brain tells me 9.1% from three-point range. And then on the defensive side, now Jared Allen did not shoot the ball. That's enough. He only had 7 shots in the game. But the other issue here is that he was targeted multiple times, not to get too into the minutia of basketball, but they did the old switcheroo. And Tyrese Halliburton treating him like a piece of clay and not just manipulating the situation here. And so they would switch, and Halliburton would zoom past Jared Allen. But on offense, he was underutilized because the Pacers' interior defense blows, and yet he only had 7 field goal attempts. Who goofed? And then you got Ty Jerome, who I actually kind of like this guy, but man, did he suck in this particular game. He runs around. He's like the Tasmanian devil out there on the court, bouncing all over the place, hitting big shots. But he was reckless with his shot selection there and just made some bonehead decisions for the Cavaliers, who were down most of the game. Now, page 2. Do the Cavaliers get a mulligan as a listener from Ohio. I believe Mike is his name. He's in the Cleveland area, but not actually in Cleveland. He says he's in the burbs where the rich people live. Mike wrote in, he said, well, Ben, you're going to probably rip the Cavaliers tonight, but make sure you mention Darius Garland. Okay. So there you go, Mike. I mentioned it. So I'll phrase the question this way. Do the Cavaliers get a mulligan because guard Darius Garland did not play in this game because of injury? And I'm shaking my head no. I'm shaking my head no. Garland has a toe problem. Oh, my aching toe. He's got a sprained toe, and he's missed a few games. Didn't affect the Cavaliers when they played Miami because Miami pretty much gave up. And there's no structural damage. The reports, as all NBA injury reports, every player that's gotten hurt in the NBA you think is on their deathbed. The way it's reported by the NBA media, they're about to die. There's a clergyman coming in to give the last rites. You're convinced every time one of these guys gets hurt. And so there's like swelling and pain and all that nonsense going on and on and on. Now, Kenny Atkinson called Darius Garland's situation. He said his status is up in the air. But not everywhere, because we're everywhere. He's just up in the air. We're up in the air everywhere. He's not up in the air everywhere. Now, spoiler alert. Here's my general position when it comes to injuries. Right? My position when it comes to these injury situations is the last I checked, they don't shut the train down because somebody got hurt. Right? That the whole point of this is it keeps moving down the tracks and all that, and it is a war of attrition. Next man up, and you're supposed to handle the adversity, and if you're good enough, you're going to overcome that. That other players will rise up, and Garland is a fine playmaker, averaged almost 8 assists per game during the season, and he is able to create a lot of open shots, but he's not there, so someone else needs to step up, and nobody else did. And you lose the war of attrition to the Indiana Pacers in this game. But you think of it like going to the Bellagio and playing poker. Right? You're playing poker, and you deal with the cards that you're given, and you just kind of figure things out as you go. Cleveland was a 64-win team. So are they a one-man team? Is it all Darius Garland and that's it? There's nobody else on the team. And you look around. These guys did not adjust. They did not adapt to the situation. And the Pacers exploiting the defensive side of things. It's just the offense was an issue, but what about the defensive side for Cleveland? If I'm not mistaken, the Pacers shot 67% in the second half. Are you even trying at that particular point? And he said, well, they had too much time off. They were flat. Make all the excuses. But it's an embarrassing situation. You've lost home court. Now, Cleveland's more than capable of going to Indiana and winning a game, so it's not like, oh, it's a horrid situation. But final point. All right, final point here, putting the bow on this. So what did Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers accomplish by winning in, I would argue, not dominant, but not just barely winning fashion, somewhere in the middle there? What did Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers accomplish there in game number one? So what they did is they took a candle out and they lit the candle, a little candlelight. They set the mood, right? They set the mood. They're not going to be a bunch of pushovers in this series and all that. And they turned on some romantic music, so they kind of set the vibe. They had the whole thing going there. It was a nice opening act, right? It was a nice opening act. And that's it. It's you could still lose the next 4 games, right? You're still capable of going out and losing the next 4 games to Cleveland. But this was not a mistake. The way they played was not a mistake. It's a more enjoyable team to watch. Is that a incorrect statement? I don't have a problem watching the Pacers. I like the way that they play. They're a high tempo. They get up and down. It's nice to watch. Cleveland, a little choppy. No, they didn't have Garland, fine, but they just watching the teams play. Cleveland, without Darius Garland, was exposed, right? They were exposed, especially in the late stages of the game. So Garland, who knows? He might not come back. I don't know. Maybe this guy's going to miss the rest of the playoffs. It is the NBA after all. So on a positive note for the Cavaliers, I'm going to be Benny Brightside. There is no such thing as momentum. So just because the Pacers won this game will have no bearing on what happens on Tuesday. There is no continuation from one game to the next. That does not happen. The famous cliche, we can now check the box. A playoff series does not start until the home team loses. So now, in game one, the playoffs have started. This series has started because the home team lost. So it has begun.